Chapter 5. JPD New Owner. Kyle arrived at his new agency, and it was a lot bigger than he thought. It had an intricate design that exuded elegance with top-class infrastructure. It stood out compared to the buildings around it, but this was one of the more expensive parts of California. Kyle realized only after he arrived that he should have bought something fancier to wear, as first impressions mattered. The clothes he wore weren't a reflection of his status. Anyone would mistake him for an average bum. Kyle exited the car and Carly was already waiting outside to welcome him. When Kyle left the car, Carly was surprised that he looked like the average American. He didn't stand out, but this only made her mistake this as humbleness and not fact that he was indeed a bum only a few hours ago.
"Good day, sir. I have come to personally welcome you to the JPD," Carly greeted with a smile, but Kyle was surprised that this was a genuine smile.
She was truly glad to see him, prompting him to wonder why, but this was an insignificant detail.
"Thank you,"
Kyle said, pausing abruptly as he looked at her name tag. "Carly, are you the CEO of this agency?" Kyle questioned, but this only magically blushed at the thought of him thinking she could hold that position, not knowing that Kyle had no idea how a CEO should look. "I am afraid not, sir. She has been expecting you," Carly responded as she led way. "All right," Kyle responded. He didn't know what else to say as he was still shocked this was happening. Kyle entered the building and the fragrance that invaded his nostrils sent him into a trance.
"This place is so fucking fancy," Kyle thought to himself as he was led to an office at the end of a corridor. "Miss Isabella will see you now," Carly said, but she emphasized the miss as if subtly telling Kyle she was single. However, Kyle wasn't paying any attention to pick up on this.
Kyle made his way into the room and to his surprise, there sat a woman in a white uniform top with a black shirt just above her knee, exposing a little bit of her thighs in the process with long socks and high heels. But the thing that got Kyle's attention was how her shirt was barely able to keep those weapons of mass destruction intact without the buttons popping off. Kyle gulped as he stepped inside the room. There was a transparent table separating them, but that was an interesting choice. She got up the moment Kyle entered. He was officially her boss, and what he did to the agency was up to him. However, this was her moment to show him her vision. "Mr. Kyle, so nice to meet you. I'm Isabella," Isabella greeted, stretching her hand for a handshake. She was confident, no doubt, but this didn't scare Kyle. He has met women like her at his various jobs, and they all had one thing in common. They were stuck-up bitches.
And Kyle knew she was no different from them. The only reason she was like this was due to his position, and it wasn't a reflection of who she was.
WR1TO1181 Crispella. That's a great name, but you would like for.
Kyle knew he had to make a strong first impression.
"Oh, of course. Please sit," Isabella stammered. She didn't know why, but just as Kyle knew how important a first impression was. So did Isabella. "You don't need to be so nervous. I am not the Grim Reaper or anything." Kyle made a silly joke, trying his best to break the evident tension in the air. Isabella was embarrassed that he noticed that. Even if Kyle didn't have the skill granted by the system, he would still have spotted this without a doubt. "I'm sorry, sir," Isabella quickly apologized.
Kyle thought she was a powerful woman when he walked in here, but she was awfully submissive right now. "I have to ask, why the transparent table?" Kyle couldn't hold his curiosity as it was a bizarre choice, to say the least.
"Our motto is transparency, so this is a literal demonstration that we hide nothing," Isabella responded.
She knew how corny this sounded, but it was a clever marketing strategy.
"Ah, that is clever.
Now, that is how you get the client." Kyle was a little more excited than he should have been, and Isabella blushed as she didn't expect this reaction from him.
If anything, she expected him to point out how corny it was, but upon closer examination, this man was around her age, if not younger.
She kept her mouth shut as he carefully examined the document before him. Thanks to the ability he had gotten from his system, he could remember everything he read almost to a fault, even though he didn't quite understand what it was exactly he was reading. "You know what, Isabella?
How about I leave the technical issues to you? Keep running it how you have been running, and if you need anything, give me a call." Kyle encouraged her, and this was the best case scenario considering this allowed her to retain control over the agency.
Kyle snuck a peek at her chest once again when she was putting away the documents before averting his gaze.
"Things those big should have their gravitational pull," Kyle thought to himself. "JPP agency status change. Congratulations. You just entered the top one. A promising talent recruitment agency." "Well, not but I guess," Kyle thought to himself while exiting the building. He stood and stared at the sign, wondering if he should change the name to something that speaks more to him, as he didn't even know what the acronym was derived from.
Move it, a voice barked at him from behind, but Carl recognized this voice without even turning around.
Callista, Carl muttered under his breath.